Welcome, everyone, to my channel. If you've been here before, you know the drill. And if you haven't been here before, pull up a seat, sit down. We're going to talk about Twilight by Stephanie Meyer. Yeah, see, ignore this. I've had this book, like, fucking forever. You can't even see it. Never mind then. What am I worried about? Anyways, this is just a quick introduction before we get into the actual whole reading thing. I've had this book for many years. I think since it first came out. I've had this book, so it's like a little old and a little beaten up. I've read it like 3, maybe 4 times. 2025, yeah. It's literally been 10 years since I've owned this book. But I have read it a couple of times, and I gotta tell you, since reading Midnight Sun, okay, we'll get to that eventually. I gotta be honest with you, I would rather read Midnight Sun than this, because it was better. Hands down, 100%, 2000% better. She became a better writer after she wrote this. It was just more engaging, more thoughtful, less dramatic-y. But anyways, I just wanted to pop in real quick and have this little introduction before you see me read it for a little while, and then give you my spoilers on it. Of course, that's what we do nowadays, is we spoil things for you, because I'm so tired of people being like, here's a book, here's some information about it, but you don't know everything, so go read it yourself. You know what if you don't want to go fucking read it yourself before you know things are gonna happen, to make sure you're interested? Or like a little spoiler sometimes, you know, not like, I don't know what I'm trying to say. Anyways, we're gonna read this. Okay. Okay, so we have read up to 134 pages of Twilight. And I've got to say, it's exactly as I remembered it. At the very beginning, nothing really happened. So Isabella Swan is moving in with her father, Charlie Swan, in Forks, Washington, simply because she's leaving her mother behind to be with her husband, because her husband, Phil, plays ball in the minor leagues. He's not very good at it, but he does play ball in the minor leagues, and he moves around a lot because, you know, gotta play the game. So Renee wants to go with, because she's totally in love with Phil and wants to be with him and everything. But she stays home for Isabel, or Bella, as she likes to be called. And so Isabel's like, well, okay, here's what we're going to do. And she literally picks up her own life and drops it, because she's like, my mom's got to be happy. So she exiles herself to Forks to allow her mother to go be with Phil wherever he is, whenever he has to go someplace. When she gets there, she finds out her father bought her a truck from an old friend called Billy Black, and she goes to the high school the very next day. So at the high school, she meets a bunch of people: Jessica, Mike, Eric, Lauren, Angela, Tyler. Then she meets the Colons. Well, gets introduced to them, which is Emmett, Rosalie, Alice, Jasper, and Edward. Okay, so Edward recoils when she sits next to him in biology class, and then he tries to get switch change, and then he disappears for literally a fucking week, and she's unsure of why or what happened, but she does like him. She is interested in him because she thinks he's interesting. Pale, Offset, Lauren said they just came down 2 years ago, so they're technically outsiders who don't stay or be friends with anybody there. She learns that Jasper and Rosalie are Hales, which are siblings, and that Emmett, Edward, and Alice have the same last name, Cullen. They are actually all three adopted. Jasper and Rosalie are supposed to be brother and sister, and related to Esme, their adopted mother. And Carlisle is the doctor, Dr. Carlisle Cullen, who works at the hospital. She actually meets him because the next day, as Tyler was coming into school, he lost control of his vehicle and almost crushed Bella. Now, Bella was like, Edward's 4 cars down, and all of a sudden he's here saving me. What the hell? She wants to know. He says he will tell her, but he doesn't actually tell her. And he's like, you should stay away from me. I'm dangerous to you. You shouldn't be friends with me. You shouldn't want to be friends with me, but we're going to be friends if that's what you want. And he's like, I'm waiting for you to be smart and stay away from me. And she's just all around fucking confused about this dude and every signal that he is giving her. And he's giving her whiplash with this. Like, 1 minute you want to be friends, 1 minute you're angry at me, 1 minute you want to be friends, 1 minute you're just cruel. He also skips one of the classes, biology. She finds out it's because, they're blood typing, and she almost faints from Mike's blood because she can smell it. And he brings her to the nurse's office and takes her home. Of course, her truck miraculously appears, and she doesn't understand how, because it's loud as fuck, and then she doesn't realize it. And then for the weekend, they go down to La Push, where the Cullens don't go, as the Cullens go out of town to backpack. And that's when she meets up with Jacob, whom she knew Rachel and Rebecca, his older siblings, but didn't really know Jacob all that well, but did know about him. And Jacob tells her, he's 15, and he's like, tells her the story of why the Cullens don't come down, or the story, as he thinks it's not real, about how his ancestors are werewolves that could turn from man to wolf or wolf to man, and that the cold ones, the vampires who suck blood, have a treaty. The Cullens have a treaty with Jacob's family, the Blacks, that they don't come to La Push, and they won't sit there and reveal them as vampires to the rest of the world. And he's like, those are the same ones, but there's an extra female and an extra male now. New. I believe the extra is Jasper and Emmett. I don't remember exactly who joined, but I know Edward, Carl, Esme, and Alice. So Rosalie and Jasper would be the new ones, I think. Don't quote me on that. But basically, that's all that really happened so far. And she's looking up things about vampires. I mean, it's 134 pages, and not a lot really happens in this because she's just now learning about vampires and the possibility that maybe they are vampires. So yeah, that's that. I will come back with you tomorrow with more updates about it. Until then, I hope you guys have fun, even though for me it'll be a day, for you it'll be next class. Okay, so I've read up to 268 from 134, and some shit does officially happen within it. So Bella's looking up things about vampires, and then she says it doesn't matter if he's a vampire or not. She doesn't really fucking care. Okay? People are getting on to her about this freaking dance that's coming up that she's not going to because she doesn't want to go to it. And Tyler's going around spreading rumors that he's going with her and not. So, the one sunny day they've had so far, the Collins were in school, and she was a little upset about that. So she's going to Poor Angels with, Jessica and Angela to look for dresses for Jessica and Angela because she's not going, to the, and that's when she finds out that Tyler's spreading that lie. And she's like, I need to run him over. Do you think that would help him stop feeling guilty and stop spreading lies? And they're like, oh, I don't know. So she gets, they pick out dresses, and then she goes to the bookstore while they go somewhere else. And then she gets a little lost, turned around, and somebody's following her. A couple of them. And they herd her into this back alleyway where they are probably going to try to, you know, do some naughty shit to her, and then, you know, off her. And Edward comes to the rescue. And she's like, well, how the fuck did you know I was there? And then he's like, I did. So she tells Jessica and Angela that Edward's going to take her home after they eat dinner. And so he brings her to eat dinner. Literally. Feeds her, and then pays for her food. And then he asks her, they talk. And she's like, I have a theory of what you are. And she's like, vampire. And he's like, really? She's like, yes. But before that, they're talking about how he can hypothetically read her mind. And he admits that yes, usually I can find someone very easily once I've heard their mind before. So he admits he is supernatural. He admits he is not human. He also admits eventually that he is actually a freaking vampire. So now she knows. And she's frightened by his driving because he drives 100 miles an hour, and she's like, slow the fuck down. He's like, I've never been in an accident. I've never been caught speeding. Don't even worry about it. So, yeah. She's like, hey. She asked a question about, like, how old are you? 17. And how long have you been 17? A while. And she's like, how come you come out during the daytime? Myth. Burned by the sun? Myth. Sleeping in coffins? Myth. I can't sleep at all. Never. And he's like, you haven't asked me the most important question, which is your diet. My diet. And he's like, oh, do you want to know if I drink blood? And then she talks about how Jacob said that they drink animal blood and not human blood. And he's like, he's like, I still think you're dangerous. But, you don't want to drink my blood. And he's like, I don't want to be a monster. So, yep. So, who can't read her mind, is like, well, when I was rescuing you, what were you doing? It looked like you were trying to concentrate. She's like, I was trying to remember how to do self-defense. He gives her a jacket. She keeps it for the night because she left hers in the thing. And then Jessica calls her. She's like, hey, you got my jacket. Can you bring it to school? And she's like, I want you to tell me everything what happened with Dad McCollum. She's like, can we do that tomorrow? Oh, your dad home? Yep. So she says about 3 things I was absolutely positive. First, Edward was a vampire. Second, there was a part of him, and I don't know how important that part might be, that thirsted for my blood. And third, I was unconditionally and irrevocably in love with him. Dun dun dun. So he picks her up, drives her to school, gives her his coat so she can wear it until she gets her coat from Jessica. Jessica grills her intrigue about what happened, and then Mike is trying to invite her to the thing, and she's like, dude, go with Jessica, you might hurt Jessica's feelings and all this other stuff. So yeah. Let's see. Then Bella and Edward have lunch together, and he's talking about the things he overhears in Jessica's mind of what they said in Trig. Yeah, he's like, you just really need to get away from me. Stop being around me. And she's like, are you still going to Seattle? She's like, yeah, I am. And he's like, can I come with you? And she's like, but do you have a favor to ask? She's like, I'm up to alternatives of not going to Seattle, but there's one thing that I need from you. And he's like, what's that? Can I drive? It's like, I'm afraid of your driving. So he's like, okay. He agrees. He learns that grizzly bears are Emmett's favorite, mountain lions are his favorite, and that Alice is going to take him hunting for the Saturday, so that way he doesn't feel thirsty around her. He's like, if I could take you hunting, you need a healthy dose. It is because when we hunt, we give our senses all over, and then we just hunt. So if you were there, I'd probably hunt you. And you can't escape me. You will not be able to outrun me. Not even be able to hide from me. She tells her dad that she changed her mind, that she's not going to go to Seattle, but he doesn't need to stay around. Edward talks about what he likes to do. Someone, and he's like, what's your favorite color? And she's like, brown today, but it changes. Oh yeah, when she gets home, Edward brings her home. Jacob and Billy are there. And Billy's like, I know what I see, and I'm not impressed by it. Jacob doesn't believe it yet, but Billy will. But he will, eventually. So they talk while they parents watch a game. Let's see. So they agree to go fishing. Charlie really wants her to go with Mike Newton. She's like, why? He's going with my best. If I'm going with my friend Jessica. Like, I can't do that. And I can't dance. So, there you go. He leaves in the afternoon to go hunting, so that way he doesn't eat her face. And they bring her truck because she left it behind, and he's like, be safe in it. you know, he has her drive out to a place that he knows about with a trail. They go up on the hike, and then she sees him sparkling. And he tries to explain that her smell that she puts off is an addiction that he can barely resist. So, that's what that is. So far, so far. Still, not a lot has happened, but, there's a lot of shit that will still happen, because we haven't even met the main villain yet. So, there we go. Anyways, we'll see you next clip. I have finished Twilight. Stephanie Meyer's Twilight. Now, the thing is, the wonderful thing is I've already read this. I already knew what was going to happen. I already knew all the spoilers, all the twists, all the plot. Everything. I already knew it all. So it wasn't that big of a surprise. Or it wasn't a surprise at all. So, this is where I left you guys on an update. And I have not updated you since. Which is basically me reading 3 days in a row. And finishing a 4-day read in 3 days. Gives me more time to work my way through this. Floating Dragon by Peter Straub. Got like 9 days. Which is definitely better than 8 or 7. Because this thing is, even though it's not big, it's 582 pages. It's mid-length, you know. It's still, you know, a horror book, and it's still heavy and in a different way. Because even though this is like almost 500 pages, the words on here are like not that fucking bad. You see that? That's not bad. That's not bad at all, you know? At all. So, where we left off. Okay. Edward is saying that Bella's sense, the smell that she has is his brand of heroin. Because he could get addicted off from it and never ever wanted to quit. Which is weird. And this is where they kiss for the first time. And she's, you know, trying to kiss back heavily. And he has to pull away because he's got to gain control of himself before he does that. Then he actually confesses that he was born in Chicago in 1901. And he died in the summer of 1918. He was 17 and dying of the Spanish influenza when he was 2. His parents were already dead. His mama actually was dead too. So, yeah. And Carlisle was lonely, and he didn't know the exact things on how to create one, but he created Edward first. And then Carlisle came into the and then Esme came into the family not long after that. And then Rosalie was brought by Carlisle. It doesn't explain how she was found or when she was found. Carlisle was hoping that Rosalie was going to be Edward's lover. No. So, she found Emmett in the Appalachian Mountains while they were hunting, and he was losing to a bear. And she brought him back and begged Carlisle to change him. And that's it for them. So that's why Rosalie and Emmett are couples, because Rosalie fell in love with Emmett. And then Alice and Jasper just showed up. Jasper, who can sense people's emotions and tweak them, came along. He was already one. I already know his backstory. Not going to tell it to you because if you haven't read Twilight, well, the rest of Twilight, then you don't need to know the spoiler. But if you've already read the whole series, then you already know. And then Alice, who can see futuristic things, see the future. So, She was just there. And they, so for as long as they've known, she's been a mystery. They don't know who created her, how she was created, where she was created, why she doesn't have no human memories. And just everything was black. That's what it is. Edward wants to be introduced to Charles as Charlie, as her boyfriend. So that way, sorry, he has an incentive to bring her back. I'm getting my stuff all mixed up, you know, because it's just like I just can't speak. She finds out that Edward watches her sleep and listens to her talk to herself, which is mainly about Edward. Yeah. And, all that lovely jazz, which she finds a little creepy. He's like, I don't sleep, so all I'll do is watch you. Yep. And then Edward brings her to his home. And she meets Carlisle, Esme, Rosalie, Emmett, Alice, and Jasper. Well, not Emmett and Rosalie, because Rosalie does not approve, basically, of I'll get it out eventually. She does not approve of Edward bringing Bella into their home or letting her know that they're vampires or anything of the sort. She's also extremely jealous of Bella for being human and her not being. So, like, she's the one who has a tough time accepting she's a vampire, while Jasper has a hard time accepting drinking non-human blood because he was with a coven that drank blood. Then she gets a backstory of Carlisle and how he got turned into a vampire. So, his father, Anglican pastor, who didn't believe in, he wanted to hunt witches, werewolves, and vampires. Carlisle found the real vampire's nest, had a real vampire come out, they attacked, the vampire attacked, almost killed Carlisle, but he got chased off, and then Carlisle, who realized what was happening to him, went and hid for 3 days, and when he came back out, he was a vampire. He swam to France to learn medicine, and now he just practices medicine around humans. Like, it doesn't affect him anything. Also meets a painting Solomena was greatly inspired by Carlisle's friends. It's a painting of 3 people: Otto, Marcus, and Caius. Remember those names. Remember those people. They're bastards. They're bitches. They need to be slapped. Well, technically, I think they need to be killed, but, you know, like, shit like that is so weird. So they go to play baseball, by the way, because they can't play baseball without thunder, because they're really loud when they play baseball. So they have a little bit of fun at the time, and oh no, I don't do play ball yet. Billy comes with Jacob. Billy reminds Bella that that she shouldn't be around Edward. Yeah. Oh wait, they still gonna play baseball, but they play baseball. Before that, Edward gets introduced as Bella's boyfriend. So then they go to play ball, and while they're playing ball, Alice sees something a little disturbed. The vampires are coming. They knew a couple of vampires were coming their way, but they didn't think they were going to be as close, and that things were they're traveling quicker than she thought. and you can see she had the perspective all wrong. They want to join their game, and that's when you meet 3 other vampires. One's Laurent, and then Victoria and James. Now, Laurent acts like he's the leader of the coven because he meets with Carlisle, talks to Carlisle, and does the introduction of his family, like Carlisle introduces his family. And, James and Victoria act like they're not part of it. And then they get a swift smell of Bella and realize that she's human. And that they're protecting said human. You'll learn that James is actually the leader of the coven because he's something different. Tracking his passion, his obsession, and he wants her. Alice. Her specifically. He begins the hunt tonight. So he's going to hunt Bella because he wants her because she's being protected by a vampire coven. He said it wouldn't have been as nearly as interesting of a game for him if they hadn't reacted the way they did. So they're all 4 protecting her. And they try to do this whole runaround thing where Esme and Rosalie are tracking the female vampire Victoria because she's in on it. And then there's also Carlisle and Edward tracking James, while Bella tells them to take me home. Carlisle's going to track with James with Edward, but they don't do that at first because Edward goes home with Bella to make sure she packs and everything so that way she can get out safely. What happens is that she goes in and says some stuff to Charlie to make him let her go, and she says she's going to go home to Arizona even though her mom's not there, and she leaves with a bunch of packed shit and gets into her truck with Alice and Edward, and they drive off. Now Edward slips out eventually to go hunt down James with Carlisle, while Alice and Jasper take her to Arizona, where her mother isn't, in Phoenix, Arizona. So, yeah, that happens. But, when James realizes things are worthless in tracking, she sits there and he changes his mind. And that's when Bella sees a mirror room and gold. It's a band around the room. And there's a black table with a big stereo and a TV. He's touching the VCR there, but he doesn't watch the way he does in the dark room. This is a room where he waits. So, changed her mind. To know he's now in Phoenix, Arizona. Well, they know he's somewhere. They don't really know where, they don't know really why he's there, but they know that he's there. What it is that he went to Phoenix City because he gave up on Charles because Victoria can't get close to him. And Victoria hunted down information, and they found out about her mother living in Phoenix, Arizona, so that's where he went. He went there. And he got into her mother's house, heard her phone message because she called because she was worried that her mother would come home because she was coming home to Arizona because Phil was most likely going to lose out on the season he was in for baseball or whatever he played sports. And so she was panicked about it. Also, draws the scene in her head that she saw where James is going to be waiting, and Bella recognizes it as a dance studio, but she's like, there are a dime a dozen. Everyone most likely looks the same. She goes, but I don't think it's the same place or anything like that. By the way, Jasper is controlling her sleeping. Yeah. And then she gets a phone call because she left a phone number, and first she thinks it's her mom. But it's not. It's James. And he's telling her what to do and controlling everything. So she leaves a note for Edward. And then eventually she slips away while they're out and about. And she goes, I want to go to the bathroom. So that way Jasper won't come in with her because Alice was going to come with her. But she's like, can Jasper come? And then she goes to the bathroom. And she slips away. And she goes to her mom's house, dials the phone number, and finds out that he's at that dance studio. And then when she gets to the dance studio, she finds out her mother's not actually there. That she was never there. Her mother was safe in Florida the whole fucking time. So, yeah. And then he drops a bombshell while he's talking to her about how easy it is to track her, and how it was so disappointing that he hopes Edward comes for her so that way he can have a fight with them, and to taunt him, and show him, a dead Bella. And he goes on to talk about a vampire he ran into that was, because she was afraid that Edward was going to ruin his fun by turning Bella into a vampire. And he said it happened once, ages ago. The one and only time my prey escaped me. And that's when he goes into Alice's background. She had been a human in an insane asylum, and he turned her into a vampire since she'd been stuck in a black hole of a cell because of her visions. And he's like 100 years earlier, she would have been burned at the stake for the visions. In 1920s, it was asylum and shock treatments. When she opened her eyes, strong with her flesh, young, it was like she'd never seen the sun before. The old vampire made her a strong new vampire, and there was no reason for me to touch her then. I destroyed the old one in revenge. So, Bella realized it's Alice he's talking about. He's like, Alice. Well, now I know. And he was recording this on a little video thing, and then he starts beating the shit out of her, and it's very easy. He doesn't really have to do much to do it. And as she's drifting asleep, way after she's been bitten by him, she hears a bunch of things, and then she becomes conscious of the fact that 3 people are talking. Alice, Edward, and Carlisle are there. They get her to acknowledge them, and then she starts talking about her hand is burning, and then he's like, he bit her. Carlisle's like, Carlisle, her hand, he bit her, Carlisle says. Then Alice is like, you have to do it, Edward. And he's like, no. And Carlisle's like, there may be a chance if you can suck the venom back out, because it's a fairly clean wound. Maybe we can start her from turning. And so he tries. And he succeeds, of course, but he also succeeds not drinking her blood all the time, and he pulls away and stops before he kills her. And she tries telling Alice a video. He knew you, Alice. He knew where you came from. Before she passed out. And when she woke up, she was in a hospital with a lot of bad stuff. A broken leg, 4 broken ribs, some cracks in her skull, bruises covering every inch of her skin, and lost a lot of blood. She asked him, how did you do it? How did you stop when you knew my blood was going to be tantalizing? And he's like, it was impossible, but I did. I must love you. She's like, don't I taste as good as I smell? And he's like, even better than I imagined. And he still doesn't understand how he could stop, but he could stop. So they stage it to where she fell down 2 flights of stairs through a window. Alice did that, made sure of that, to cover story. Because obviously Carlisle and Alice went with him to Arizona to speak to Bella, to reason with her. And she went to the hotel to speak to him and fell down a flight of stairs. Because, she's a clumsy fucking woman. And they all know it. Bella learns that her mother was there. And that Phil has been signed on to the Suns, whatever sports that is. And that they'll be living in Jacksonville. And she's like, oh, you can come live with us. And I'll spend half my time with him, half my time with you during away games. And she's like, Mom, I want to live in Forks. She's like, are you crazy? She's like, Bella, you hate Forks. It's not so bad. She goes, is it the boy? He's like, he's part of it. She's like, I think that boy's in love with you. And she's like, I think so too. How do you feel about him? I'm pretty crazy about him. So, there's that. He also refuses to change her. And she thought he would. Change her into a vampire. She really wants to stay with him than anything else. He's like, you are my life. You're the only thing in this world that have hurt me to lose, is what Bella tells Edward. And she's also like, Edward, I'm betting on Alice. Because Alice says she'll be a vampire one day like them. He actually has her get all dolled up with Alice's help to take her to prom because he wants her to do all the human things. She's like, in what universe would I ever have willingly gone to prom though if you weren't here to drag me there because you're more stronger than me? Or you're stronger than me. Jacob shows up, by the way. He got paid $20 by his dad to go to prom to tell Bella to break up with her boyfriend, to stay with him. They'll be watching. Also, he's like, yeah, she has, she says, seen anything you like? And he's like, yeah, but she's taken. Which he's talking about her, of course, which is fucking weird. Edward gets upset because he called her pretty, and he's like, you're the more than beautiful. And he's like, well, where did you think I was taking you if you didn't think you were going to prom? And she's like, I thought you were going to take me to turn into a vampire. So, yeah. That's it. The end. She's in love with a vampire. Okay, so my favorite character in this is Alice. Because she's such a bubbly person with a bubbly personality, but she sees the future. And most times the future, even if it can change, even if it does change, she'll still see it. She'll still know it. She'll still be able to do everything. But sometimes shit happens. Yeah. And you can't prevent certain shit from happening. My most disliked character would have to be James, because he's literally the reason why she had to leave her father in Forks, was because of him. And she almost died because of him. I mean, like, granted, she wanted to become a vampire. So it's not that big of a nose skin for her. She just probably didn't expect it to happen that way. But she was just also prepared to die at that point for her mother. Because, you know, some people are just that attached. And, yes, I'm wearing this for the spooky season. November. I mean, not October. Thing. What stood out as memorable? What stood out as memorable? What stood out as memorable? That Stephanie Meyer made up her own thing about vampires. Don't get me wrong. This is a good fantasy romance. Okay? Don't get me wrong. It's a good fantasy romance. The only problem I have with it, the only problem I have with the entire, well, two problems I have with the entire fucking series, is one, vampires don't sparkle. They have never sparkled. Even back when they first started existing, because I read lore on the first recorded vampires, they've never fucking sparkled. Their skin's always burned in the sun. The second thing is when it happens in New Moon, the werewolves. They're not fucking werewolves. They're shape shifters. They shape shift into a wolf, but werewolves can only shift into a wolf on the night of the full moon. That's the whole fucking lore. Because the lore back then was they didn't actually shift into werewolves, but they acted like they were wolves. Because what I can remember from the first instance, the first time somebody was ever called a werewolf, they were butt fucking ass naked, covered in fur. Okay, they weren't butt ass naked, but they were covered in fur, not human clothes. And they were howling at the full moon, running around in a circle, urinating. That's the first recorded werewolf. That is what werewolves have always been. And then she just decides to make them, well, they can shift whenever the fuck they want. You're a shapeshifter. That's what they are. They're shapeshifters. They can shapeshift into werewolves, because the wolves, Because they don't even transform into half man, half wolf. They turn into full fucking wolves. Which is what shapeshifters do. Shapeshifters turn into the actual fucking animal. It's like the animage spell from Harry Potter. They don't turn into half human, half creature. They turn into the animal. There could be animage that are wolves, and there are as werewolves, who are half man, half werewolf, half wolf. That's what a werewolf is. What she does is she takes it and tries to put a little spin on it, with not a lot of research, maybe. And if she did do her research, she disregarded everything about it. The only thing she kept about vampires was the sucking the blood. And what she kept about werewolves is that they shifted into wolves. Sorta. A little bit. Not a lot. That's basically what stood out as memorable, is how she took something ancient that's been around for hundreds of years and made them sparkle instead of burn. My favorite passage from the story, Jesus Lord, I don't fucking know what would be my favorite passage, or even what my favorite, well, let's see. No, that's not a good passage. That's Mike. Mike is not a good passage either. Let's see. Are you the next one? Yeah, okay. That's not something I want for that. Because I don't think her almost being hit by a van is a good passage. That's her moping because Edward's not interested in her, even though that technically he's completely interested in killing her. Yeah, it's definitely there for that thing. Those are the legends. I don't really care for those kinds of quoted things. You know what? I think my favorite passage would have to be the one that's on the back. Like, about 3 things I was absolutely positive. First, Edward was a vampire. Second, there was a part of him, and I didn't know how dominant that part might be, that thirsted for my blood. And third, I was unconditionally and irrevocably in love with him. That I would say would be my favorite passage throughout the whole book. And I was just about there too in the book. It's on page 195. There, look, I just found it. Now, quote is a different story. But I think I'm gonna go with that one. Oh no, here we go. This will be my favorite. It's not anything really of a declaration, but it's like, she's asking him not to go anywhere, and he says, "Bring on the shackles. I'm your prisoner." So basically, he's like declaring, like, I'm not going anywhere. But she needs lots of reassurance throughout the whole thing, because he's like, I'm not good for you. You shouldn't be around me. You shouldn't love me. I should go away. And it's a lot of whiplash in that, because she's still like, you can leave me. He's like, no, I'm not going to leave you. But you are. You're talking about leaving me. He's like, I should leave you. That's what I should do. I should totally and completely leave you, but I'm not going to. What I thought about the ending of the book. Edward and Bella are together. And this is going to follow the same trope of, well, I'd say 3-book series, but this one's more like a 4-book because of extended circumstances. But, you know, the book of series of, they get together in this book. In the 2nd book, they break apart. In the 3rd book, they're back together. Yay! All that lovely fucking shit. Hey! Let me put my book up here. My cat's being difficult. What book did it remind me of? What book did Twilight remind me of? what book did Twilight remind me of that I have actually read? And nothing. There is no vampire book, no young romance like this that I've read. Yeah, no, I don't think, no. Unless you want me to sit there and say, Fourth Wing, maybe, with the dragons and the you shouldn't love me, I'm dangerous, you're dangerous to me, we shouldn't be together, you know. Violet. What's your name, boy? Fuck. You know, I got Iron Flame right here for the picking. I forgot your fucking name, dude. What is your name? Zayden. I want to call him Raiden or something, because his last name is Royerson. Violet Sorrengail and Zayden Royerson. They're like this. Edward Cullen and Bella Swan. This book is part of a series called Twilight. There are 4 main books in this series. There's a novella, and then there's also a first book rewrite for Twilight called Midnight Sun. So 6 books altogether. I rate this a 3.75 because of the sparkly vampires. I'm sorry. I can't deal with you sparkling, okay? You're a vampire. You're supposed to burn in the sun. Alright? That's all there is to it. That's all there is to it. So, if you guys think I deserve a like, comment, or even a lovely subscription, why don't you go ahead and drop it down below. I will see you next illusion.